threats.
Slap him in the face, you know.
Mate, if I got what it takes.
Anger.
Don't, sir, don't.
Desperation.
Dad, I need to find £2 within 5 minutes.
What happens when debt
I'm not even paying a penny of it.
tracks you down?
Don't open the gates, mate. We'll force entry.
Up and down the UK,
Can somebody come to the door, please?
we see Britain's most resilient High Court enforcement agents
We need immediate police assistance.
dealing with every debtor's worst nightmare.
It's not a wake-up call most people want.
Because if you can't pay,
Doesn't have a penny, doesn't own anything.
they'll take it away. Over the first half of 2017, the number of county court judgments issued against individuals rose to the highest level seen in over a decade. Nearly 600,000 judgments were issued during this period, a 40% increase from the previous year. High Court enforcement agents Gareth Short and Mitch Starr are in Cardiff, South Wales.
Spoiling, but
They're here to recover a debt of over £2,500 owed in unpaid parking fines.
We're going to visit Mr. J. Martin.
The case began when Mr. Martin left a car park without paying.
Do it.
Now he must pay the money he owes in full today in either cash or goods. The agents immediately spot a valuable asset.
Nice wheels.
this car,
If the Bentley on the driveway belongs to Mr. Martin, it could be seized if he can't or won't pay today.
Do you think he's inside?
no, I think he's out.
Although the house is unlocked, no one appears to be in, so the agents turn their attention to the Bentley. And they're in for a surprise.
Who leaves their Bentley open on their drive?
Bentley open.
I just can't believe someone would leave a Bentley on their drive unlocked in the middle of a city, just asking for it to be nicked, really, you know.
Mitch takes a look inside to see whether he can find any evidence that the car belongs to the debtor.
Mr. Martin.
Good boy. I knew there was a reason why he worked with Hubert.
The trade cards are for Mr. Martin's roofing business, evidence that the car could belong to him. Gareth starts an online vehicle check and gets an unexpected result.
That registration number is registered to the BMW 318. That should be on a road with that. It's registered to a different car.
It seems that the number plate is registered not to the Bentley, but to a white BMW. But then Mitch spots something.
Was that BM there? Has that always been there?
It appears the agents are being watched.
So we've just done a search on the plates on the Bentley. He's coming back as a white BMW. And funny enough, across the road, it's been a white BMW M Sport parked up watching us. So I think that's the debtor, so I'm going to go and confront him now. Jonathan, mate, is it?
I'm just dropping him off to work, yeah.
I think it's Jonathan Martin, mate, to be honest.
Who's that?
Don't know. Do you have any idea on you, mate?
Do you know what, mate? I'm going to show you. because
Thanks,
you're
buddy.
doing a job.
Thanks, buddy, I appreciate that.
The man inside the BMW isn't Mr. Martin.
Spidey senses was going on.
Yeah.
The guy showed ID to prove he's not a debtor. But why has he been sat there for the last 10 minutes watching us?
The case is taking a complicated turn. But as Gareth suspects that changing number plates could be an offence, he calls for police assistance.
Hello, I'm a High Court enforcement agent. Wonder if we can have police assistance, please. We've just found a car on the drive with false plates on it. We've also got somebody parked across the road just watching us. Just wonder if we can have a police officer for assistance, please.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any job can be extraordinary. There's so many twists and turns, just never know what's going to happen. So you've always got to have your wits about you. I'd like to say that you've learned from experience, but this job is a constant learning curve because every single job is different.
With the police coming, the BMW drives away. And just moments later, another man approaches the agents.
What's your name, buddy?
Kevin, that's it.
Kevin, man, look for Mr. J. Martin, yeah, Jonathan.
It was ready to eat.
Come tell you. You Jonathan?
No, I know. I'm his brother.
The man, Kevin Martin, says he'll deal with the writ on his brother Jonathan's behalf. But the agents need the debtor's permission before they can discuss the writ.
If we get Jonathan on the phone, if he tells us we can speak to you, we'll tell you.
Hello. This is John Martin.
Hey John, alright? Okay, we're High Court enforcement agents. We're High Court writ against you.
I'm his brother.
You help me off your brother to sort this out. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, perfect. Thanks, mate.
All right.
So you're in possession of a High Court writ.
What do I do here now?
Two options, mate. The debt can either get paid or we're going to be lifting this car. So at the moment, the debt stands at £2,269.05.
Well, all over a £1 parking ticket, but I don't know how I'm going to pay this.
He can pay it over the
Can
phone.
you
if
do a
you
bill
want.
slightly check?
Nah, that's the only thing we don't accept is cheques.
Let me see what they're coming at.
While Kevin tries to arrange payment, Gareth wants to find out whether he's got any connection to the man in the white BMW.
Where have you come from, lad?
What's that got to do with this?
Just taking interest, that's all.
You know, where have you come from now? That's a leading question. It's a loaded gun.
That's a loaded gun.
It's not a loaded gun, it's just
Thank
fucking
you.
shit. Just clip the clap, Charles. I'll give you the money, that's it.
This routine case is turning out to be anything but straightforward. With no sign of the debtor and with his brother becoming agitated, it will take all of Gareth and Mitch's experience to get the £2,500 they came for. Gareth Short and Mitch Starr were in Cardiff, Wales, to recover a debt of over £2,500 owed in unpaid parking fines by Jonathan Martin.
I think he's out.
The debtor didn't appear to be in, but the agents found that the valuable Bentley outside was unlocked. Then Gareth discovered that the car's number plate had been swapped with another vehicle.
That registration number is registered to a BMW 318.
The agents called the police.
Police assistance, please.
Then a man arrived.
What's your name, buddy?
Kevin Martin.
Okay, man. Look for Mr. J. Martin, me, Jonathan.
I'm his brother.
And became agitated with the agents.
This is fucking shit. Just clip the clap, Charles. I'll give you the money, that's it.
I'm confused.
Now, Gareth and Mitch must try to get this complicated case back on track.
You can pay over the phone if needs be, mate. He hasn't got to be here, yeah?
Kevin phones his brother Jonathan again.
Look, I'm trying to sort it out for you, right? Ta-ra. Right, I can give you £1,000.
Okay, we're halfway here then.
And then when he comes back on the 26th, he said he'll pay you.
Jonathan has offered £1,000 today and the balance paid off in 3 weeks' time. But the agents are duty-bound to try and get payment in full today.
We can't wait, unfortunately. So we're commanded by the High Court to come and collect the full balance or remove assets. We'll be the most patient men in the world, mate. If you've got to wait for half an hour or something.
You won't get £2,500 a day.
Okay, so
Leave it at that.
all right, so we'll have to take the car then.
Despite the fact that the Bentley has a false number plate, if it belongs to the debtor, it can still be seized. But Kevin has other ideas.
That's not even his car.
We've got reason to believe it is.
We trade cards in there, mate. All sorts in there.
That's in Yvonne's name.
If we get proof of that, then we leave it.
It is in her name. It's
Yeah,
in-
we obviously to do a job, we need to see proof for that.
Do you want to see the logbook?
Logbook's not proof.
What's proof then?
It's the original sales invoice, so
She got a receipt probably.
if she got that, then we leave it.
Yeah, but she's in Spain.
Kevin claims that the car doesn't belong to his brother, but without proof, the agents could seize it.
Should have 7 days proof of ownership then before we sell it.
With the car at risk of being removed, Kevin gets back on the phone.
I just want to the police now.
He claims to be calling the police, but Gareth has spotted something.
He's not on the phone.
I think she was born yesterday, man.
It seems that Kevin's phone is actually switched off.
Perhaps what you should do is if you ring 999 on your phone instead of just pretending, you'll speak to the police now. Wasn't born yesterday, mate.
No, I didn't. I didn't go before. I just told them my ear then, mate.
Ah, right, okay. They always have an inkling if somebody's telling me the truth or not, or if they're hiding the truth. And that's when I'll start to drill down and find ways of getting the truth out of them. If that person's not the debtor, then it is obviously a lot harder. But then it's a bit of a cat and mouse game, to be honest with you.
40 minutes after Gareth called them, the police arrived.
Is your phone, mate, is it?
No, I never phoned them.
It is, mate. This is your goods, mate.
After seeing the High Court writ, the officer is keen to have a word with Kevin Martin.
Do you have any idea on the job? I can't clarify you, man. You've got a driver license with a quick ID on.
But then suddenly, Kevin flags down a passing van.
Whoa, whoa! Right, I'll go with these, I'll be back. See, disappearing like that.
With Kevin gone, the policeman makes a surprising claim.
I've reason to believe he's given me enough details and he's the person who we court warrants for. That's probably why he's disappeared.
It seems the man the agents have been dealing with could actually be the debtor, Jonathan Martin, after all.
I've got an officer on the way down here who knows him, was going to identify him.
Some debtors do think we was born yesterday. I'm very stupid. And I do find that a bit of an insult sometimes. But unfortunately, that's the way they're dealing with the situation. So what you do need to do then is start drilling down on the truth, because ultimately the truth will come out in the wash.
5 minutes later, another officer arrives and shows Gareth a picture of Jonathan Martin.
That was the guy who was here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was him.
Is that him, is it?
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Dealt with him several times.
Is he wanted by you as well, is he?
With the man's true identity confirmed by the police, Gareth's keen to know if they're planning on taking any action over the swapped number plate.
Is that car going to go, or?
We've no power to remove at the moment. It's parked on the drive. Although it's no insurance. We can't remove it off the drive, we'll have to install it. We're going to do some further checks on it.
Appreciate that, guys, anyway. Thank you very much.
It appears that keeping a car on a driveway with false number plates isn't unlawful, but driving one on a public highway is. With the Bentley now on the police radar, they leave. But just then, another man arrives.
Right, mate.
And makes a surprising offer.
I can pay John's bill. I just asked me to come and pay for this so we can take the car.
Well, you're going to pay his bill, mate, yeah?
There's 1,500 quid there.
Cool.
And then the other £769 on a card. And then, does that stay there then?
If it's all paid, mate, that car stays in.
The man doesn't say what his connection is to Jonathan Martin, but he produces £1,500 in cash and pays the remaining balance by card.
76905.
Yeah.
Happy with that? Well, not really, you, but...
That don't make a difference to me.
No.
No, all sorted. Sorry about that, mate. Cheers, thank you very
You
much.
take care, buddy. All the best.
Thanks to the mystery donor, Jonathan's debt is paid off in full.
Done our job, mate.
Happy days.
But just before Gareth and Mitch leave, a familiar van approaches.
There he is, boys. There he is, jumping out as well.
The man the police identified as the debtor has returned.
What the police woman says,
She said you were Jonathan, or?
yeah. I know.
You are now?
Yeah. Do you know when she went there, she said he's not coming back, did she?
Don't know.
With Jonathan now being honest with the agents, Gareth wants to find out more about the debt.
How did you get that bike?
My brother, he had no money on him. So the yellow arm comes up,
Aye.
car goes out, he went right up the arse of an out car, going out so he hasn't got to pay the pound.
Jonathan Martin is now claiming his brother was responsible for the parking offence behind the debt.
It's done now, and he's going to fucking pay you.
The case might have ended with yet another twist, but it's been a good result for the agents.
But for us, it's a great result. We got the case paid.
Done our job, mate.
Happy days.
Research has shown that the number of disputes between tenants and landlords over rent arrears increased by 90% last year. The average amount owed to private landlords across the UK currently stands at over £1,800, and the total amount has now exceeded £5 billion. High Court enforcement agents Matt Highway and Gary Ball are in Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire. They have a writ to collect a debt of over £16,000 owed to a landlord.
Who's first today then, mate? We're going to see Mr. Mark Ford and Miss Emma Jackson, who owe £16,500.
The defendants, Mark Ford and Emma Jackson, left a rented property 9 months before their tenancy agreement officially came to an end. But their landlord pursued them through the county court to get the rent the couple should have paid him for the remainder of the lease.
Dog's looking at me.
The landlord won the case, and it's now been escalated to the High Court. Today, the agents have come to the debtor's new address to get the debt paid off in full. With no one answering, Matt checks around the back. Finding an open door, he makes peaceful entry.
Hello? Hello?
And it appears someone is home after all.
High Court enforcement.
How'd you get in?
Who the?
Mark, is it?
Yeah.
Hi, Mark. My name's Gary. It's Matthew, both High Court enforcement agents. Reference a High Court writ for £16,479.16.
Okay.
What's it about?
The old place that we used to rent, and we had to move out
Okay.
because the boiler was broken. There was no hot water, and they wanted to charge us for the end of until it went to the end of the tenancy.
All right.
I have contacted the board.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. You put an appeal in, didn't you?
Appealing, yeah.
And that was dismissed, yeah.
No, it's been, they lost the paperwork for it.
It's been dismissed. It's on the notes.
I haven't been informed.
Okay, well it has.
So where we are today, so we stand at £16,479. Graph you. Can you pay that today? What about Emma, sir? Has she got any funds?
But Emma's in Spain. I can give her a number if you want a number.
Matt gives Emma a call. But with Emma out of reach, Mr. Ford must now deal with this debt on his own.
If you can raise funds.
I've got nothing at all. I lost my business in the last 6 months, and I've put everything into it, and I've lost everything. That's the situation.
All right, sir.
People will open up and tell us the story on why they've not paid you, what's happened in the past. You know, we'll always listen to them. We are humans. We'll always understand the situation they're in. You do feel sorry for them, but we're only there doing a job. It's nothing personal.
With no offer of payment, the agents must now start an inventory of seizable assets.
TV.
And Gary immediately spots a set of keys.
So is that named on some paperwork somewhere, the vehicle?
Yes.
You have that paperwork?
I haven't got the paperwork right now.
No, it'll be seized, unfortunately.
Until Mr. Ford proves that the Mercedes doesn't belong to him personally, it can be seized to offset the debt. But as it's worth only £1,000, a fraction of the £16,000 owed, the agents must continue to search for assets of value in the house. And upstairs in the Home Office, Matt's in for a surprise.
That feels right, that does.
He's found what appears to be a Rolex watch. If genuine, it could be worth in excess of £5,000. But the agents don't know whether it's real or fake.
I can never tell, to be fair.
I can. It's normally the weight, mate. For the weight on that.
Yeah, it is heavy one.
But then, in a drawer, Matt finds yet another luxury watch.
That's a tag here.
I feel like it. I'll keep searching.
With another watch found, the agents continue their search.
Yeah, I found another watch, another Rolex.
It's an Armani as well.
And it soon becomes apparent that Mr. Ford is a serious collector of luxury watches.
That was my hobby.
Armani, Swarovski.
Cartier.
So you got Tag Heuer, Monaco.
The agents have now found 7 designer watches. If they're genuine, Matt and Gary could now be handling assets worth up to £10,000 or more. But they have no proof that any of them are authentic.
And Rolex, Oyster, Sea Dweller. An expensive watch is a great asset to seize. It can be of huge value. It's very easily transported. However, the pitfalls of that are that I'm not a qualified jeweller and I wouldn't know a fake Rolex from a real one if it was staring me in the face. So you're aware, Mark, these watches in this box, they are seized at the moment, all right?
But then Mr. Ford tries to stop them in their tracks.
Change the shall I? Look at the point there, and it's off centre. If it was Rolex, it wouldn't be off centre.
With no expert knowledge, Matt can't tell whether Mr. Ford is telling him the truth. so he goes to speak to a colleague who has experience in this field.
Hey mate, you okay?
I am, mate.
You see the 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock on the black bezel? If you push it gently, it should go down, because that's the pressure release valve on a real Rolex watch.
No, mate.
No, it's fake then.
That's no good then, yeah?
It seems that Mr. Ford was telling the truth. With the expensive Rolex confirmed as a fake, it looks like the only asset worth seizing is the car. So Matt requests a tow truck.
So you've got recovery for the vehicle coming. All right, mate, no problem.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, cheers.
If you let it go to the stage where you're letting your vehicle go and you're not raising any funds at all and you're not going to come to an agreement with us, you know, you're adding thousands of pounds more to the bill. You're going to be hit with those removal fees and storage fees and sale fees.
30 minutes later, the tow truck arrives for the Mercedes. But as its sale at auction will only clear a small part of the £16,000 Mr. Ford owes, the agents will have no option but to keep the case open, adding further fees to the debt. But then suddenly, Mr. Ford makes Matt an offer.
You've taken the car.
Yeah.
If I give you £1,000 as well.
Right. Is that what you're suggesting, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I can certainly put it to him, yeah.
After saying he couldn't pay anything, Mr. Ford has now offered £1,000. Matt calls the office to see whether this is acceptable to the claimant.
What he's suggesting is the value in the vehicle, which is obviously what we value it at, and £1,000 today, with £1,000 a month going forward. Okay, mate. Yeah, cheers. I never knock a door thinking I'd like to get a quarter of the debt or half the debt. However, sometimes, when it's not possible to collect the full amount, we need to look at an arrangement. This shows intent from the defendant, it gets a good result for the client, and it also makes them more likely to pay the rest of the remaining debt.
A few minutes later, the office calls back.
Hello, mate.
The client has agreed if we get an additional £1,000 and £1,000 a month.
Thanks, cheers.
The claimant accepts the offer.
Yeah.
Bank details?
With the £1,000 paid,
That's gone in, okay, lovely. Thanks, Rachel.
and the Mercedes ready to be sold at public auction, the case is resolved for now.
All right, mate. Sorry about the circumstances, but pleasure meeting you.
No.
Cheers.
But if Mr. Ford doesn't stick to his repayment plan, the agents will be back.
Yeah, I think, Matt, we need to go on a jewellery course, don't we?
Yeah. And then maybe oil paintings afterwards?
Or paintings, yeah, and then sculptures.
Yeah.
Wow, that lasted 4.5 hours.
Yeah, but a good result.
Yeah, good result in the end for the client.
Very difficult one. No.
Yeah.
Matt and Gary got a result against the odds. But in Gareth and Mitch's next case,
You know Francesco, mate, yeah? Yeah.
an aggrieved debtor
It's not fair that.
pushes their patience to the limit.
Well, you didn't understand.
No, listen,
it's the
look,
problem,
let
because
me
you never
finish.
fucking money.
Listen, don't start me.
No, I know, let me start to go angry.
Research has shown that nearly 3/4 of people in the UK come up against unforeseen expenses at least once a year. However, 4 in 10 have less than £100 put aside to cope with unexpected bills, and nearly 17 million people in the UK are at risk of getting into debt due to their low levels of savings. High Court enforcement agents Gareth Short and Mitch Starr are in Swindon, Wiltshire, to collect a debt of over £2,000.
I went to visit a guy called Francesco Macronelli. Italiano.
The agents don't know how the debt arose, but they've been given some information about the debtor, Mr. Macchiarelli.
The only notes we got is he used to be a private taxi driver, and now he's a chef, apparently.
Italian chef.
Italian chef. Taxi driver.
Good mix on this.
As Gareth and Mitch approach the address on the writ, they see two men leaving the estate.
You know Francesco, mate, yeah? High Court Enforcement Agents we are. Show you some ID. Should we go and have a chat in your house, is that alright?
Yeah.
Francesco seems keen to cooperate. He and son Michael invite the agents in.
So, a county court judgment was entered against you, sir, on the 12th of the 4th, 2017. With regards to the amount of money you owed, they've then transferred it to the High Court. So we're now in possession of a High Court writ to enforce against you.
What's about that?
You say you've not received any letters whatsoever, is it?
No.
Have you ever owed any rent, sir? Any business debts, anything like that you can think of?
No.
The numerous letters have been sent from the county court for you. We also sent you a letter that looked exactly like that.
Honestly, I've never received it.
With Francesco claiming he knows nothing about the debt, Gareth calls the office to get more information.
Unpaid garage rent, the other lock-up, you didn't pay for it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Alright, thank you.
Right. Unpaid rent for a garage or a lock-up you rented, sir.
Oh, that one.
Here we are. Pennies dropped there, yeah?
It seems Francesco does know about the case after all, and is now keen to tell the agents his side of the story.
With him, I want to give the garage back. He will give me a chance to empty the garage. And every time I said, look, I want to empty the garage, he changed the locker and forced me to pay month by month by month. That's the problem.
I'm guessing you had unpaid rent, yeah?
Yeah, I know, because I give you notice to empty the garage. So I said, look, I can't afford it to make more months on because I don't have money to pay you. £70 a month for me at the time is very high.
I'm guessing as part of your lease agreement with him, you had to give 2 months' notice.
Yeah, but if I not can afford it.
Whether you can afford it or not, you agreed to that license or
You must have signed that contract.
Whatever the rights and wrongs of the case, Francesco lost in court. Now the agents are duty-bound to get this case resolved today, one way or another.
So your debt at the moment stands at £2,234.17. Are you in a position to make payment to us?
Oh, no, unfortunately not. I lost my job. If I don't have a chance to pay today, what happened?
Assets from inside the house will be seized today, and then they will be sold at public auction within 7 days.
No, man, that is not fair.
We'll treat that as a last resort, okay? Let's focus on trying to get the money first. If you say to us, all right, look, I want to make some phone calls, I want to speak to some people, I want to try and get some help, we'll be the most patient men in the world.
But instead of trying to raise funds, Francesco seems intent on arguing about the writ.
What him done, for me, is not fair.
Did you formally give you notice in to say you want to give you 2 months' notice?
I tell you twice, so many times.
Did you formally do that?
Yeah, voice by voice.
You should get by paper.
I'm guessing part of your contract would say you'd have to do it formally.
Because unfortunately, I can write English because I'm Italian.
So whenever we knock at the defendant's door, it's potentially going to be the worst day of the year, maybe potentially their life. And the first thing they want to do is just get aggravated. Obviously, that's counterproductive for us. We don't want that to happen. So what we normally try and do is let the debtor have 5 to 10 minutes worth of kicking off, and then we try and bring him back down to level.
The agents have been in the house for almost 20 minutes, when suddenly Francesco's son, Michael, makes an offer.
I have 400 or something. Yeah, but that's without money.
If you
that is not fair. You see, that's the problem.
But Francesco is still disputing the court judgment.
I asked him to stop the agreement. I want to pay all the rest. At the time, he said £400. Instead, him charged more and more and more. If he let me empty the garage, instead to put more on top. He said, non rompere l'anima. Go upstairs, don't worry, I sort this one.
With Francesco's wife now involved, Michael tries to calm his father down.
There's no point you keep saying the story.
It's not fair, that.
It's not fair.
Because if I tell you, I can afford you.
Sir, your son's speaking a bit of sense here. Do you want to go in the kitchen?
Maybe you don't understand. That is the problem, because you have the fucking money.
Listen, don't swear at me.
No, I know, now I'm starting to go angry. Because I tried to stop.
Shouting and screaming is not going to help you, sir, okay?
I know, but...
Do you want to go in the kitchen?
No.
And have a chat with your son?
No.
We often get debtors and defenders who are just fixed on why they're in that problem in the first place. But I'm there to get a result. So what I try and do is listen to their story, but bring them back down to the ground and say, I'm not there to deal with disputes, unfortunately. A county court judge has already agreed that you owe this money. So there's no point having a go at me about it. you might as well work with me.
With the situation at a stalemate, the agents have to make it clear that despite his argument with the claimant, the writ is live and must be enforced today.
Can you see why we're here?
Yeah, I know.
Perfect, okay. So we're going around in circles at the moment. I definitely sympathise with you saying you lost your job, but unfortunately we got a High Court writ to enforce. So that's £2,234.17 is paid to us. We can look to remove assets.
Yeah, I know.
Which is the last thing we want to do.
But just then, Francesco receives a call.
Just one second. Oh, Christian. Sto avendo un grande problema. Puoi venire un minuto a casa? Manager called me, and now he's come and tried to sort out.
So you got a family member on the way, have you?
Yeah.
So we need 1,800. If there's nothing comes in, if he can't help, could we do a couple more phone calls just to see if we can.
If you want to make phone calls, we'll happily wait.
If you want to believe or not, I don't care. You just come here, want to take my stuff off.
No, that's the last thing I'm going to do.
No, he's come here to do his job.
But despite his son and now another relative trying their hardest to help, Francesco is not backing down.
The bastard? Yeah, but because you have a fucking money.
Just stop shouting.
No, because
You need to calm down and listen to your son, so he's speaking some sense there.
No, because the fucking bastard, because you have the fucking money, do whatever he wanted. And steal the money for the poor people. I don't have any help at all.
I understand your stress, but you need to calm down, take a breath, have a cup of tea. And
No. Be honest with you, I tell you, if I see that guy on the road, I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're going to get yourself in trouble then. You're going to end up at the back of a police van.
But then Francesco's nephew, Christian, arrives.
Quanti soldi ci vuoi? Ho sempre proprio 1800 sterline.
Chris, to a boy, he'll pagare to...
Possiamo pagare assieme.
Christian agrees to help pay off his uncle's debt.
That's 481 into your account, and the rest Chris will pay.
Along with nearly £500 from his son and the rest from his nephew, Francesco's debt is paid off in full.
It's a good thing you came when we were leaving, because otherwise...
Couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I'm not expected, honestly.
But it seems that the agent's visit shouldn't have been a complete surprise for Francesco.
Yeah, another day, and I said, what's going on with the garage?
Listen to your wife.
But what?
She knew something was going to happen.
How do I say thank you in Italian?
Grazie.
Grazie. I know it's a very good boss.
Yeah, he's a good boy, yes. On a daily basis, we see the bank of mum and dad coming into the rescue. It's not very often we see the sons and the daughters coming in to bail the parents out, but it's a nice sight to see. Your parents have brought you up all your life, so the least you can do is help them out in their time of need.
Half an hour after they first arrived, the case is fully resolved.
There we are, that's us done.
Yep.
Francesco, hopefully you won't see each other again now, yeah?
I hope not.
Just make sure you sort this out properly, listen to your son, keep him in line, right? Michael, thanks, buddy.
Michael, it's been a pleasure, mate. Good work.
No,
It shows how much family can mean to you sometimes. The son and the nephew pulling together to get the dad out of trouble was brilliant. It's nice to see that you can always rely on family.
A recent survey from a leading youth charity reveals that a quarter of adults under 30 in England and Wales resort to borrowing to make ends meet. Nearly half of all young adults are running out of cash each month, while over 1 in 10 have had to skip meals due to financial difficulties. 5:30 p.m. High Court enforcement agents Matt Highway and Gary Ball are in Great Bar, Birmingham. They're here to collect a debt of almost £6,000 owed to a lettings agency by one of their former tenants.
We're going to see a Mr. Charanjit Bato. He owes £5,883.57. It's either going to be rent left outstanding when he left or damage to the property, I would have thought.
If Mr. Bato can't or won't pay, the agents have the right to remove assets to offset the debt, including the Mini on the driveway, should it belong to him.
Looks almost empty, doesn't it?
The house is unlocked, but nobody seems to be in. But then a man arrives.
You all right, buddy? You're moving into it?
I am going to be moving the house, but obviously you lot outside is making me kind of worried, so...
Well, we're High Court enforcement agents here looking for Mr. Charanjit Patel.
Sorry?
Charanjit Patel. All right.
Okay. Not what I'm aware of.
No? Okay.
The man claims he doesn't know the debtor the agents are looking for, but he's clearly unsettled by their presence.
I don't want no one going in there breaking in because obviously I've got stuff inside.
Oh, so you live here then?
I'm moving softly. This is one, so...
That's yours?
Yeah, I'll move that. That's got nothing to do with this property anyways.
Well, it is. It's part of the property, isn't it?
Well, I don't want you doing this. It's
Okay.
not registered on this. See?
But you got your logbook for it?
I ain't got my logbook on me, no, but
Okay.
Your driving licence doesn't prove that's your car, sir.
But then Gary spots someone at the window.
Well, the curtain's twitching.
Is there anybody in at the moment?
No one's there. Not what I'm aware of.
Well, there's just been somebody at the top window.
Not what I'm aware of.
Suddenly the man leaves, just as someone comes to the front door.
Hello, sir. How are you? You want to talk to me?
Sorry, sir. Is that you?
The agents are finally face to face with the debtor, Charanjit Patel, and Gary explains why they're here.
They've took you to county court on the 22nd December last year. It escalated to the High Court for enforcement purposes.
Look, I'll be honest.
On the 13th, it's £5,883, sir.
Look, I don't even earn that much, I'll be honest with you. What's happened, it was an unpaid rent. I was going to go to citizen advice.
Yeah.
I only earn £700 to £900 a month.
Right.
I'll get paid tomorrow.
Right.
I couldn't even show you my bank details.
Okay.
I have literally nothing that I can give.
The writ commands me and my colleague to attend here today to either collect the money or to seize goods to value. That's what we're here to do, all right? So we'd rather not do that.
But just then, a woman comes to the door.
The car's staying where it is at the moment.
With two people now claiming to own the car on the debtor's drive, the agents don't know who is telling them the truth. It's going to take all of Matt and Gary's skills to get the £6,000 they came for. Matt Highway and Gary Ball were in Great Bar, Birmingham, to recover a debt of over £6,000 owed in unpaid rent.
It's almost empty.
Matt and Gary found a car on the driveway that could be seized to offset the debt. But then a man arrived and claimed he owned it.
That's got nothing to do with this property.
The debtor, Charanjit Patel, said he couldn't afford to pay.
I couldn't even show you my bank details. I have literally nothing that I can give.
But then a friend of his also claimed to own the car on the drive.
I need to move my car from the drive.
The car's staying where it is at the moment.
Now, the agents need to get to the bottom of this confusing case.
Let's do first things first. Is that your car? Have you got logbook for it or?
She's got it at home.
But before they can sort out who owns the car, the woman makes another claim.
Have you explained that before moving at the property?
Yeah.
You know what the landlord said to him? He goes, if you can move out, please, whatever you owed me, you don't need to pay it.
Right. Okay.
Right. I'm not lying. Obviously,
Yeah.
I've got
No, I
enough
don't.
evidence
I don't.
to prove it,
I don't
you
disbelieve. I don't disbelieve you at all. Did you go to court when the county court stage?
No, we didn't know nothing about it.
It seems Charanjit believed he didn't have to pay the outstanding rent. But whatever the rights and wrongs of the situation, Matt needs him to understand that the £6,000 he owes must be paid in full today.
Have you got anybody that can help you with this?
I'm restrained from my parents. I have no form of contact with my family or anything I could borrow money off. It's a bigger man, and I have no savings, no investment, no nothing.
It's a lot of money. I don't expect you to have that in your back pocket.
Look, I'll get paid tomorrow. Come to me tomorrow, I can promise you right now.
We've got to sort it now. You need to work with us and you need to raise some funds. If we give you a little bit of time just to make some phone calls, take the heat off and just go and have a sit in the car for a bit while you make some phone calls. Why don't you try? You're going to have to get inventive. You have to find some way of solving that now. You've already said you've got money coming tomorrow.
Okay, let's do this. Let's take a 10-minute break.
Perfect.
The agents give Charanjit some time to see if he can raise any funds.
People who are honest, who have got nothing to hide, who will always give them that opportunity to raise that cash, no matter how long it takes. You know, we're there all day if it needs to be.
The agents have now been at the property for half an hour when the man they first met returns.
Hey, Dean, bro. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I just had a word with DVLA.
It's not your car, is it?
That is, yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, because someone else was just saying it was their car?
Yeah, it's a shared car.
Oh, it's shared?
With no clarity on who owns the car, the agents must continue to assess it for potential seizure if Charanjit can't raise any funds. But the man is clearly getting agitated.
I need to go.
Shut up, you 2 minutes.
But I need to take my car.
Cooperate and it will happen, yeah? But panicking and everything, you're not going to get caught and they won't be able to do their job. Cooperate. Trust me.
We're trying to be as calm as possible, aren't
There
we?
you go. So if
All
they
right.
be calm, we stay calm before it goes out of hand.
Charanjit decides to talk to his neighbour.
So let's chat with his neighbour now.
Maybe he's going to ask the neighbour to lend him the money. I don't fancy his chances, though, to be honest.
But he comes back with some news.
Yes, mate.
Someone's kindly said to me they can give me 200.
Charanjit's neighbours have agreed to go and withdraw cash to help pay his debt.
Look how kindly a neighbour said to me.
Because we've always been with our neighbours from the start.
Look at that. They gone out just for me.
But the £200 on offer is still a tiny fraction of the £6,000 Charanjit owes.
We're going to need more than 200 quid.
How much?
Well, as a rock bottom, you're going to need 500 quid.
Charanjit needs to raise another £300 to reach the minimum down payment Matt has asked for.
500. Listen, there's one person else.
If you really want to ask Steve.
Just ask him.
Realising he's running out of options, Charanjit makes another call.
Where's my bank card?
Why? What are you doing?
And he has good news.
He's transferring £300.
He's giving
You get your £500 today, yeah?
Okay.
A friend has agreed to lend Charanjit £300. Along with the cash from his neighbours, he's now raised the £500 needed as a down payment.
How sweet is that, man?
You can tell nice people when they've got neighbours that are willing to help
Our
out.
neighbours don't do that.
The agents now have to work out a payment plan to pay off the £5,500 balance.
And then we need to know what your proposals are to clear the rest of it, because the last thing we want is another performance of this, do we? You know what I mean? So we need to sort it out.
Come on, baby, let's just go in.
The agents have to carefully assess Charanjit's financial situation to make sure he's able to stick to his repayments.
So we need to know what you can do with this going forward.
To be honest, it can't be like 100.
Do you work as?
Monitoring. I'm a manual monitor at home.
Right, so you're working at the minute, but only part-time from home. Is that the gist of it, yeah?
That's all I got.
So what are you suggesting monthly?
50 grand.
Often as a High Court enforcement agent, half of your job is an enforcement agent and half of it is a social worker. We will hear the full story about what the defendant's been through recently, been through in his life, what his situation is like at the moment. What it does for us is it builds a picture of the defendant, how likely they are able to pay this debt off, and, you know, where we can go with the case next.
Charanjit's £50 a month offer is low, but Matt can see that with just a part-time job, he has little means of paying any higher.
I'll accept it provisionally because of your circumstances, all right? I can't get in touch with the client at the minute anyway. Tomorrow, once the office is open, I'll give them a call and I'll tell them about your circumstances and show them the evidence we've seen. All right, mate, so you've got everything you need, yeah?
Yeah.
The case is resolved for now, but if Charanjit doesn't stick to his repayment plan, the agents will be back.
Lads, you've been the best.
It's been an unusual case, but thanks to the kindness of Charanjit's friends, the agents got a result.
That's from next door, can you believe that?
Nice to have nice neighbours.
You Can't Pay will take it away as back same time next week. Tomorrow night at 9, the new series of Jane McDonald and Friends continues with Tony Hadley and Shane Ward joining our songbird to belt out some great tunes. Next tonight, Paul Connolly sets out to uncover those who steal from the elderly to the tune of $7.5 million in brand new Undercover, Nailing the Fraudsters.